We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get Christy after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is a Friday, it is the end of the week, and I am sorry we're a couple of minutes late, but I do have a good excuse, and that excuse is about an hour and a half ago, I was cooking my dinner, as I always do before the podcast, and I almost set fire to my house. Absolute disaster. Plastic stir fryer things, whatever you want to call it, completely burned, plastic fumes everywhere, but ended up quickly running down and getting some food. I've had some food now, and I am here to talk about some wrestling. We've got Numero One Superfly in the chat, shout out to you, but also joining me today, we have a man who yesterday, when there was tons of tech difficulties here at Wrestling Republic, managed to host a show for over 15 minutes on his own, being the first person in Wrestling Republic history to do that. How are you today, Shard?
What's going on, man? It feels good to be in the history books, man. I'm not gonna lie. That was an unprecedented episode, like I mentioned in the intro. But we were able to power through it, man. I got to give a special shout out to Mr. Ryan Lamb, who had arguably the funniest take I have ever heard in my entire life about Alex Windsor. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have laughed as hysterically as I did in all the chaos yesterday, man. But we here today with an actual good panel as well. I'm hyped for it, man. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. Shout out Matthew Ryan Lamb. Fantastic job. Literally stepping in last minute yesterday. And by last minute, I mean the show was on the air. Clark sent him a text and he quickly got his equipment together and jumped on air. Fantastic stuff. But also joining me today, we have Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Ant?
I'm doing all right. Not too bad, not too bad. Isn't this the second time you had a delay with a show because of a fire alarm or something fire related? I feel like...
Yeah, but the other time wasn't my fault. This time was my fault.
Okay. Just checking. No, I'm looking forward to doing the show. It's always fun to do these things with you guys, and let's get into it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was before when I lived in an apartment place. And yeah, there was the fire alarm went off for like half an hour and somebody had to come to turn it off. It was all a disaster. This time was completely my own doing. But without further ado, let's get into the first topic. Because of course, Cody Rhodes is the new WWE champion. He shockingly defeated John Cena at SummerSlam to win it back. And now we find ourselves in a similar situation to what we are in 6-9 months ago, but we are asking ourselves, what is next for Cody? He has defended this title against almost everyone across WWE at this point following his year-long reign last year. But the question is, who is next right now? My choice, my prediction is going to be Mr. Drew McIntyre. Of course, won that tag team match, that celebrity tag team match at SummerSlam. Plus, he didn't feud with Cody before, so it's a new feud for him, and I'd be all there for that. At least it's something new. But I do think WWE are going to struggle in terms of finding new names for him to actually feud with. Shard, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, honestly, this comes back to the issue at hand with the rosters. I just think Raw has a lot more depth and a lot more top-heavy superstars, where SmackDown kind of thrives off of the mid-card wrestlers, as well as having a plethora of tag team wrestlers, as you can see on their ladder match. Like, their tag division is absolutely insane. So, I mean, we run into that problem. I think there needs to be a balance restored. But, I mean, I can't talk in hypotheticals, unfortunately. There's not a draft in the pipeline that we know about just yet. Maybe behind the scenes they're working on something. I don't know if they're making any trades, but if we're talking about the current roster right now, there's a couple options, right? Obviously you can go back to the well that is potentially Randy Orton. Maybe they can restore some sort of rivalry against each other. Maybe Randy goes heel against him. That could potentially be a matchup because Randy does have championship aspirations and goals. You can go with somebody to create someone, right? Someone like Aleister Black. I think he's somebody that has got familiarity with Cody Rhodes. I think they've worked with each other in AEW. That's how he debuted. I think Aleister is a very, as over as you want character, and he could potentially get into the main event scene. But you know what? I'm not even going to argue with you, Ben. I think the only answer is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is the most main event consistent person that they have, and he's not been in the title picture for quite some time now. He's the guy who gave us a great moment back in the pandemic era as champ, and he didn't get to have it around the fans, and now he's reinvented himself. He's been a phenomenal heel, giving us incredible storylines with CM Punk. The whole Jelly Roll aspect to it. He's so good at his character. It's just the perfect opponent for Cody Rhodes. And my thing with this is I say that to say this. Cody Rhodes, this is a do or die title reign. I think the weight on his shoulders is going to be a little bit more heavy this time around because the feel-good moment from the last one is gone, right? He finished the story. That's gone. Now he's got the title back again. And now the criticism is going to be a little bit more nitpicky by people because a lot of people still wanted babyface Cena to maybe finish out his championship reign before he retired. Cody needs to have a strong title reign. I'm not saying his last title reign was bad, but this one in the aspect of storylines, opponents, no redundancy, that is very important. So you have to give him suitable people to go against. And for that, I say Drew McIntyre. I think he can be a thorn on his side. He can generate enough heel heat for him. You put him in a potential matchup in a place like at Paris, it could draw a lot of viewership and a lot of people to want to see that. So I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre.
A fantastic shout, no doubt about it. And I agree as well. This definitely is do or die for Cody. And specifically do or turn heel for Cody. I don't think they want to turn him heel. I really cannot see a world where they try to turn him heel. But the question is, will fans still root for him? It's difficult to root for a babyface when they're on top, and especially when they're on top as quickly as Cody is once again. But we both have predicted Drew McIntyre, and it is interesting that Drew McIntyre would be then facing Cody Rhodes at Clash in Paris. And McIntyre has had an absolutely awful record at Clash pay-per-views. Of course, Clash at the Castle Wales lost to Roman Reigns. Clash at the Castle Scotland lost to Damian Priest. But the two common factors with those two shows is with both he had big title matches in the main event. Anthony, could he also be in the main event of this one?
Probably. I think it's a rather thin herd that they could really put him up against. I think Orton they would save him for, I don't know, Survivor Series or a Rumble or perhaps even a Mania. I don't think they're going to burn the Orton flag just yet. Drew probably makes the most sense. I mean, they're not bringing in Rene Dupree to challenge him to get the French connection in this. Drew's the logical one. He's a great heel. Those other title matches that you had mentioned under Clash, if I'm not mistaken, he was a babyface in all those that he was unsuccessful.
No, last year he was heel.
Yeah, okay. But just as a whole, I think it's probably the logical one. They don't probably want to turn Cody right now because he's still selling merch and he's still getting the chance. So I get it. It's the Hogan thing. It's the Austin thing. They're selling merch. I do think he is going to turn heel sooner than later. I don't know if it's going to be this soon or maybe they wait till Mania. I don't know. I think at some point we're going to see Homelander. We've seen hints at it. I think it's only a matter of time before they do it, and I think they'll do it before it gets stale. I think I think as a whole, that's probably where they're going with it. I don't want to see Solo Sikoa again with the guy with the worst win-loss record keep getting title shots. Like nobody wants to see Solo again with that. I think Drew's probably the safe bet. I think Drew's the safe one.
Hey, Solo has a title already, okay, guys?
That is true. He
It's
is.
such
He
a
doesn't lose.
great
He
title
has
reign.
one.
Yeah, okay.
Fell out the cage. Fell
Come on,
backwards
man.
to retain his title.
Cody versus every MFT member. Like they have a gauntlet match. Be a real fighting champion.
Oh,
you get past
God.
the Palatanga.
Tony says Cody turning heel won't happen this year or next year. I completely agree. He's basically him and Jay, but he sells way more than Jay, are the only ones who are selling well merchandise-wise to kids. Like, you're not really in a position where you can turn Cody heel business.
I really don't think he wants to go heel. Like, I believe when he says that, I truly do not think he wants to go heel. I think he wants to stay babyface as long as they will allow him to. And then here's the other thing, though, by the way, because I hear the argument about the fans not wanting to root for him and stuff like that. It is completely different here than it is in his time in AEW. I think the storyline driven for him has been a lot better in the WWE. I think the fan reception, his presentation, everything has clicked more for him over here than it was there. I just think that he's got a natural character that is suited for the WWE fan base to love him. Where in AEW, it's more of a, it's a little different type of fan base, man. Like they kind of like the more anti-heroes more than like the clean-cut baby faces in a sense, So I think he's in the right. I don't see him going heel anytime soon. Only if it only if they're really trying to throw like a curveball at us, which I know he could play. He could play the heel character.
He'd do it amazingly.
Yeah,
I feel because he played a heel in Ring of Honor back in the day.
Very well.
So I know he's got it in him to do it, but I think when he does it, because I think if he does end up doing it at some point, it's going to be a shock one. It's not going to be, oh, I expected this. You're not going to expect it when he does it. I very much think it's going to be Hogan Bash at the Beach type, where it's like, wait, what? I have a feeling that's the type of turn that he would probably do, and it would be secretive that you see on WWE Unreal that only like 3 people knew. Like it's that type of thing where when they if and when they do it, it's going to be that.
It has to be against Roman though. Like he has to go heel against Roman.
I think Roman's the guy that would probably end up dethroning him as a heel. Would probably be the logical choice.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see, and I do think there's a slight possibility it's Roman and Cody again at WrestleMania this year now, but who knows? But also, at the same time, I don't think Roman's around enough to be the top babyface in the company. He's not around enough to be signing autographs, pulling in ratings, all of this. He's not there enough to do that.
Correct.
And nobody else is near Cody's level.
I agree, but I disagree with you on that because Triple H spoke about it in Unreal that he finds nuance in a champion who doesn't defend the title a lot, that feels secretive and whatnot. And I think that, Roman wasn't around that often when he was champion for those years too. Like he was there, but he wasn't defending it. He wasn't on TV.
Yeah, he was a heel, not a babyface.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. It worked with Brock and it worked with Roman because they're both heels. It doesn't really work with a babyface champion.
Yeah, especially to be the babyface in the company. Of course, we already know Clark thinks Cody's a heel, as Garrett says here. And Mike says, heel or face, it doesn't matter. Cody is a very compelling character. The Atomic Merp says, as big as it might be, the Cody heel turn would definitely overshadow Cena's, so they won't do that to him, at least until next year. And Donnie says, Cody wants it to happen. We'll have to wait and see. Numero 1 is predicting Drew McIntyre or a fatal 5-way, potentially, and the Atomic Merp and Garrett are both saying the same. Up next, we have to talk about this rumor which is going around today, right? Because there's a ton, absolute ton of speculation that perhaps there could be, in a couple of years' time, a WrestleMania both in America, but then also in Saudi Arabia. And this comes after one of the Saudi Arabian princes started teasing something a couple of days ago on Twitter and suggested that we will know more soon. That seems to be where this stemmed from. And since then, both the Wrestling Observer and Fightful have suggested that potentially there could be 2 WrestleManias in 1 year, a normal WrestleMania and then a Super WrestleMania. And I would absolutely hate this. Hate it. And I mean hate with a capital hate. This would make me furious. And no, it's not because it would be in Saudi Arabia. Quite frankly, I'd be fine with that. My issue is there should only be 1 WrestleMania. The only way I'm okay with this is if they're consecutive days. 1 day in the US, 1 day in Saudi Arabia. But let's face it, logistically, that would be near impossible to do. You'd have to have half the team in one place, half the team in another place. It would risks being a disaster. Also, I think there's a lot less value in either place bidding for it if they're only going to get half of the WrestleMania. Honestly, if it goes to Saudi, just give it to Saudi. Just don't have one in the US that year. We can't have 2 WrestleManias. It's a 2-night thing or whatever, a 1 weekend thing. But Shard, I want to get your perspective on this one.
I actually don't mind the idea of it, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought about it, and I'll say that to say this, right? I think the biggest argument is allowing an international crowd getting the opportunity for a spectacle like WrestleMania. And to that, I would be in favor for it, because in this situation, you have a opportunity for an international market, the fans out there in Riyadh getting to enjoy WrestleMania. You know, the liveliness, the fans will go ballistic. It will be a great premium live event. And then you also still keep it at home, man. You keep it in the opportunity in the States. You allow us to have WrestleMania over here for our domestic fans. And I feel like it's just a win-win for 2 different type of fan bases. I feel like in that sense, you can book it where it makes sense at the end of the day, right? Like, you can have opportunities to maneuver and create cards. You know, the maybe the Royal Rumble winners get to wrestle at the Mania in the States, and maybe the Elimination Chamber winners get to wrestle in the main events at Saudi. Like, there's creative ways to get stuff working and avenues to get it done. But just the idea of having 2 big time events, I'm for it. I don't see problems with it. I feel that these international shows, you know, sometimes one up us out here in the States. Like, people come out to the events, people create a incredible atmosphere. Wrestlers feel a reception that they don't get to feel sometimes out here, and it's good for business. And also, money talks, man. Like, Saudi Arabia has a very pretty purse. They have a big bag, and WWE has, you know, off of a conversation of business, my goodness, man, they're wheeling and dealing, and they're making money for their company. So for that point, logistically, I can understand that. You know, as a fan, I don't see as much of an issue with it. The only thing is this: you can make anything matter if you build the build to it and it makes sense at the end of the day. Like, you could sell me a ticket to anything as long as the matches and the stories to that said show are in there and they make sense. You have opportunities with big time moments. Someone like Sami Zayn becoming a world champion in Riyadh, you know, Arab descent in front of people that, you know, love and adore him so much. That would be magnificent. Like, I think that alone to me is like very intriguing. And then you open conversations down the road. Maybe we have a UK Mania and an America Mania. Maybe we have a Mania out in Japan or Mexico. Like, stuff like that adds a little bit more creativity for it. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. We'll see what happens. But I don't hate it. I won't say I love it, but you can sell me it enough for where I want to be upset about it.
My issue with this is, like you said, I actually love the idea of an international crowd such as Saudi Arabia getting a WrestleMania because the crowds are insane and often one up
Right.
the US crowds. And I have no doubt if there was to be an international WrestleMania, it would feel bigger than a lot of other WrestleManias have felt because it would feel so special. But here is my issue. I think if you did 2 in 1 year, it would lessen the value of both of them because suddenly WrestleManias feel a lot more common. The entire thing about a WrestleMania is it's once a year. Imagine 2 Super Bowls in a year.
Well, you could also do it like this. You have it set in the calendar year too. You could have one in the first quarter and you could have one in the fourth quarter of the year too. Like that could also be a way.
But then it's SummerSlam.
Well,
We got SummerSlam.
I mean, I'm just saying there's ways. I mean, there's ways to build it off of a little. It's Super Mania, bro. It's like Mania with a cape on his back.
No, I mean, listen, they already tried this once with the Rumble, and I don't think anybody truly views the Saudi Super Rumble, whatever the heck it was called. I don't think anybody considers that a legitimate WrestleMania.
Well, the shows in Saudi have significantly got
listen, if you want to do WrestleMania in Saudi, even though I couldn't go to it, I'm okay with that. But splitting it up, that's the specialness of Mania. I wasn't even a fan when they originally went to 2 nights, but I accepted that. I don't want 2 nights of Mania. I don't want 2 Manias in the same year.
That's crazy. One night and the other night in another country is kind of wild.
No, I mean, listen, they tried that once. They
did, and it went bad.
Yeah, 3 different locations. They tried that once, didn't pan out. Granted, that was a long time ago, but like, no, I don't want them to, and I can't use the word, but I don't want illegitimate Manias during the year. I want the real one. That's what I want. I don't want it watered down. It's the same thing with the NWO when they had too many members. Stop. WrestleMania should not be like Saturday night's main event where you do it every 3 months.
The only reason
I don't want that.
The only reason I feel like they would potentially do 2 nights is because
it's money. I know that. I know the reason.
Well, money, but it's also a perception thing too, because people are gonna complain about Mania being in a international country, especially I mean, look, people's opinions towards Saudi Arabia is their opinions towards Saudi Arabia. I'm not gonna dispute and debate that, like that's a completely different conversation. But there's a lot of people who feel like, oh, they shouldn't even be doing shows there and whatnot. But if you get isn't the Royal Rumble this coming year going to be?
Yes,
there?
this year's Rumble.
But they're doing
2026 Royal Rumble.
But they're doing
one Rumble. Yes,
they're doing one. They're not doing another one in the States, too. They're just doing one. Which
you a UFC fan? We know this is TKO, right? Like they do all them shows.
I don't like it.
They do all them shows all them cars in Dubai all the time.
Just give them a WrestleMania once every 10 years. Bang, the crowd deserves it. The crowd will go wild for it. It just doesn't need to be, to Anthony's point, a second WrestleMania. Give them the WrestleMania.
If you want to give them WrestleMania 43, that's fine. But I don't want to see WrestleMania 43 and 44 in 2027 the same year. I don't want that. That's
43 part 1, 43 part 6.
I don't want to see that, honestly.
43 and a half.
Even though, honestly, the Saudi shows have gotten better, but like as a whole, it's a private show because not that many people are getting on a plane to fly to Saudi to go see these things.
A surprising amount are. It is increasing tourism significantly. Although a lot of that is
the reason it's better is because they treat it like actual shows. Back when the old regime, they would literally try to make it like more of obviously like the DX versus Brothers Destruction is like picking up like old names for the namesake value, and you hear the stories of they were trying to get like people that aren't even no longer alive on the
listen, those original shows, I compare them to somebody renting a birthday clown to their kid's birthday party because it was that's what it was. That's what it felt like.
Oh, gosh. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see. But Fernando agrees. He said multiple manias in a year is a terrible idea. The Atomic Merp isn't against the idea of Mania going to Saudi. Absolutely, I agree with you there. And Garrett says it's just a huge money grab like the ESPN deal. At the end of the day, they are a business. But again, my one issue with TKO since it has existed is it feels a lot of the time like they are thinking short term, not long term. And at the end of the day, you have to think in both ways when you're running a business. But up next, I need to plug a couple of things. Let me kick things off by telling you guys about Wrestling Republic Undercard. It is our second channel. Every single day, there's multiple clips on there. A lot of great content. Make sure to check it out. Plus, the Home Assault separately, grappling for position, and a lot more. Make sure to go over there and subscribe so you don't miss a video. A lot of fun stuff coming up over there. Plus, while you are subscribing to channels, make sure to subscribe to Allison Analysis, where I give my analysis for Raw and for SmackDown every single week. Tomorrow morning, I'll be giving my analysis on SmackDown, so make sure to go over and subscribe. And also, send me in your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown each week via the Wrestling Republic YouTube channel. Wrestling Republic broadcast channel on Instagram, so I can then respond to those in the Allison Analysis video. Without further ado, let's get back into the topics of the show. Of course, at SummerSlam, Tiffany Stratton retained the WWE Women's Championship over Jade Cargill cleanly, a move which shocked me and a lot more people. And now we are in a position similar to Cody, where we are like, well, who does she feud with next? She's basically beaten everybody already. We're in a bit of a weird position, Anthony. I mean, what do you think is next for Tiffy time?
I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of Tiffy time right now. I haven't been a fan of this reign. I thought Jade probably would have been the logical choice to take it from her, but they beat her clean. I think they're a little confused on what they want to do with her, whether she's a heel or a face at this point, because it teases either way. The person I would like to see take her on, and I don't even know if this is going to fit. I mean, you either bring Nia back, but she seems to be busy on NXT for whatever reason. Chelsea to me, she didn't really get the just due with the US title. I want to see a Chelsea reign, to be honest with you. I'd much rather see Chelsea because I think she's more entertaining and I think it would be a lot more interesting.
Actually, Anthony, I do agree with you. I think that would be a lot of fun. And to your point, I'm still not over the fact they took the title off us so quickly with that US title reign. I can't get my head around it at all.
Yeah, I mean, they kept the gimmick going, which was just hysterical. They kept the Secret Service gimmick, but she doesn't have the belt. And they've made no real inroads on giving it back to her. So give her something. I think she could have a really good reign, personally.
I absolutely do agree. Bianca Belair is another name. Numero one is saying, personally, like I predicted, I think Bianca and Jade are both going over to Raw so they can finally conclude that storyline with Naomi. I think that's why Jade didn't win at SummerSlam, but it's still all a little bit silly and I can't get my head around it.
I'm trying to think who's on the roster right now.
Not many.
Raw has all the best women on their roster.
They need a draft ASAP.
And Flair and Bliss are two main event women, but they're in the tag picture, so you can't have them.
It ain't gonna be Nikki Cross. Let's put it that way.
Nah, I don't know. Honestly, man, this is a tricky one. I guess Chelsea, in theory, is the most over person right now, so that would probably be a logical feud. But like you mentioned, Chelsea's eaten so many L's. Like she's got, but she's also still over, I guess, where you can kind of make some sense. You could throw some W's on her in the process.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. So. Yeah, I don't know what else you do at this point. It's kind of difficult where you're putting these people because it's just kind of like, all right, well, certain things are in stalemate, and I feel like Tiffy time is giving them a hard time on how to book.
Yeah. I mean, I almost do think they're going to have to announce a draft like pretty imminently, and there must be somebody on the Raw roster, maybe I don't know, somebody to dethrone.
I could see them doing a draft now because you can make the argument in the fall. Oh, the season premiere of Raw, season premiere of SmackDown. It's going to be the new rosters, even though I always laugh at that when they do season premieres. I'm like, you don't have an off season. How does that count? But
It's so
I could see
silly.
them. I could see them doing it post Clash and somewhere in September timeframe, September, October.
I
is my
think
guess.
if we were to talk maybe potential call-ups, the winner between Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace moving up to SmackDown and feuding with her, and maybe one of them being the ones to take the title off her out the gate. I mean, I think they both are pretty over and well known enough by the roster where it can kind of create a monumental moment. I think if you want to keep Tiffy Hill, then Jordan Grace would be a babyface to get off of her. If you want to keep Tiffy pseudo babyface, Blake is super heel right now, and I think that's a bit of a dream match to people because
it will be character-wise fascinating.
Character-wise, yeah.
I think Tiffy's sweet spot is as a heel. I think the face thing doesn't work because it feels forced. It doesn't feel genuine. Which was the same thing I said when MJF did the whole thing. I'm like, some people are just meant to be heels, and some people are just meant to be faces. Don't try
if
to.
You like them as a heel. You like them as a heel. Like you can't.
That's the whole thing.
People.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you look at somebody like Ricky Steamboat was a babyface his entire career. No one wanted to see him as a heel. Rey Mysterio, for the most part, was 99% babyface. He had that one very brief run with the Filthy Animals that he was quote unquote a heel, but not really. But like, there's certain people that are just born to play that role, the heel role. I think Tiffy's born to play it, and I think that's probably what hurt the Charlotte run, because it was that confusing part and it never got it back on track.
Yeah, I do completely agree with you, Anthony. Up next, let's play a little bit of a game, because today, Jack Swagger, otherwise known as Jake Hager, has announced that he has retired from professional wrestling. So
is that a small violin playing right now?
Yeah, in honor of his career, we're going to play a game which might just be insulting his career, because we're going to play creating a Mount Rushmore of forgettable WWE / World Heavyweight Champions. And I'm going to kick us off. And I'm going to go out the gate to Jack Swagger. I mean, he's the one who inspired this game. But up next, another one who held the title in the same era, the Great Khali. I mean, I forget that all the time. What are they doing there? Another one has to be Alberto Del Rio as well. And I think he had a couple of reigns too.
He did.
But I mean, they were always short. They were always, rubbish. And you just forgot, especially when he left the company, that he was ever meant to be a main event guy. It was bizarre. It really, really was.
Winning the only 40-man Royal Rumble too.
You're right. I try and forget about that. I try to get it out of my head. But the last one, and maybe I'm going to get a little bit of heat for this off you guys, but I'm going to go with Sergeant Slaughter, right? Because growing up, I always, and I mean, he kind of was, but I always looked at this guy when I'd see him in like the WWE Kids magazines, because they used to have him as like a legend in there, as like the definition of a jobber. Then I got 2K, and I still thought he was a complete and utter jobber. Now, of course, as I got older, he wasn't really a jobber, although at times maybe he was a little bit. But even still, the fact that this guy at one point held the biggest prize in the company, I mean, it makes my head explode. I always forget it. So there we have it. My Mount Rushmore of forgettable World Heavyweight Champions. What about you, Anthony?
Okay, this would have been a lot more controversial if you asked me to name the 4 top ones. You got to go Swagger. I mean, that's an obvious one. You mentioned Great Khali. I think that's another. These are 2 names that you haven't mentioned. Kane. He's only had 2 world title reigns, both incredibly short, none shorter than his first, less than 24 hours. He won it in a first blood match, and if he didn't win, he was going to set himself on fire. And the last one you may not even have heard of, Ben, but you may have heard of the son, Sean Stasiak. aka Meat, at one point, Stan Stasiak. This is a guy that held the title for 9 days before he dropped to Bruno to begin Bruno's second long reign of 3 years or whatever it was. So yeah, that would be my 4.
That's actually a hell of a shout. He's somebody which I'd completely forgotten about. I do know who he is, because I can't remember what it was, but he was involved in like some wrestling story I was reading about a little while ago. But a fantastic, fantastic shout, which I never would have guessed.
You mean you forgot?
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. He belongs on this mountain of Rushmore. But what about you, Shad? Who are you picking?
So y'all picked a lot of good ones. I'll try to throw some ones that y'all haven't named. The first one is not too far long ago. It was during the good old pandemic era, and it was The Miz. The Miz with that horrific storyline tied with taking the briefcase from Otis, cashing in on Drew McIntyre, to only lose in that favor that he had with Bobby Lashley. And I have been using that meme all week with MJF because I feel like Bobby Lashley is going to do what he did to The Miz to MJF to be AEW champion at some point. But that's for the future with that. The Miz, it is so forgettable. You forget about that Money in the Bank briefcase winner that was Otis during the pandemic. Yeah, man. So I got The Miz being on that. I did have Jack Swagger on mine as well. Because I mean, it's one of those cases where, like, yeah, he ain't do a whole lot with the Money in the Bank. But speaking of that, what about Dolph Ziggler, huh? Like, we remember the amazing cash in, but the title reign after that, it wasn't too amazing. I believe he got hurt a little bit, so it was quite a short title reign. So we're gonna go with the Miz. I'm gonna put Ziggler on there as well because I also think. You forget Ziggler was a world champion. I feel like he's like a notable guy who puts people over. Also, just a historic intercontinental and mid-card guy. So we got him on there. I'm going to also put Goldberg's 2020 title reign on there because I think as a community, we want to forget about that. The best thing
to be clear, this is champions, not championship reigns.
Oh, this is... I thought this was the reigns that were...
No. This is champions, full stop.
Oh, my goodness, man. Now I feel like I have completely butchered my entire list.
I'll let you know now before the Instagram post goes up of Goldberg being a forgettable champion.
Okay, we'll take Goldberg out of here because that's disrespectful. All right, I'm going to stick with the other two, though. We're going to stick with the other two that I had. We're going to have Ziggler on there. And then... what was the first one I said? The Miz, right? So the Miz, Ziggler. I will also put Finn Balor on there because it ain't really do a whole bunch of lot, you know? So we're going to put Balor on there. And then for the last one, I think I will have to put, got a couple ones that I'm thinking about that I wrote down on my list. I think I'm going to go with Jack. I'll just put Jack Swagger on there because we got to have a common name. So, yeah, I got The Miz, I got Ziggler, I got Jack Swagger, and, yeah, man, I thought this was the actual title reigns.
No, just champions. So stop. But a great list. A great list.
Yeah,
Tony says,
I wouldn't
mention Swagger.
I'm not putting gender on there because I think everybody
we the people did.
Gender.
Yes, Shot, I agree with you. I'm going to be honest, guys, right? When I planned this segment today, I was planning to go on a huge rant at one of you guys for picking Jinder Mahal, but I'm really glad you didn't. But Fernando did, so unfortunately for you, Fernando, I'm going to have to go off on you for a second, right? Because Jinder, I genuinely think, and this is where I'm going to get a lot of hate, but I genuinely think it's top 5 most memorable title changes. And for that reason, I don't think anyone's going to forget Jinder Mahal. Did it, under-deliver? Yes. But nobody is ever going to forget about it because a jobber randomly for like 6 months became the top guy on a brand. It was crazy.
I know, Ben, you don't want to hinder the gender.
Exactly.
But you know,
I like
when
it.
you that's one of those trivia questions you'll get for years from now. Who's the first member of 3MB to be a world champion? Everyone's gonna pick Drew, but it wasn't. It wasn't Drew. It was Jinder in WWE anyway.
Donnie said Vince.
That's another shout.
Though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
Technically, Vince held that in the ECW one for the cup of coffee.
But there are just so many. I say there are so many, actually. Considering how long the title's been around, I mean, there's what, like 10 forgettable champions? That's actually quite impressive.
I gotta be honest, I think it would be a more controversial list of the greatest. Because I have 4 in mind, and I know it would mean omitting somebody who's going to piss somebody off. Like, I know that. I know that for a fact.
We'll do that at a later date. That is for sure. Also, we're going to do the women's at a later date as well. And I feel like, especially considering during the Divas era, there wasn't, much thought put into. We might actually have to cap it at the new era, because at the Divas era, everyone was forgettable.
Does Lay Cool count as 1 champion or 2? Because they split the belt.
Look, I will say this: if we do a women's one and I'm not on that, if anybody puts Nikki Ash on there, we're gonna have to box, man, because Nikki Ash is better than this Wyatt 6 character. She's better than Nikki Cross.
What? I forgot she held the title until you just said it. So she might be on my list.
That was doing the superhero run, right?
Forget about that.
Super Nikki or whatever the heck it was.
Nikki Ash is better than Nikki Cross by a lot.
I won't.
They're not like 2 separate people.
But on that note, guys,
she was almost a superhero. She wasn't a superhero. She was almost a superhero.
That's right.
That's
Lady
true.
Molly was.
Yeah. That is also true. On that note, guys, it does bring us to the end of the show. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of SmackDown. Thank you to Shard. Thank you to Anthony for joining me here today. And most importantly, thank you to everybody in the comment section, or just anybody who is watching along. We always appreciate you guys. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.